After completing this lesson, you'll be able to understand view templates, understand view range, duplicate structural plans, create a view template, and also work with view range. The objective domains covered are 4.1b, set view properties, 4.1c, apply visibility graphic overrides, 4.1d, apply and edit view templates, and 4.1h, use duplicate views. When creating drawing views, it's important to maintain graphical consistency between different view types. For example, high-rise buildings will need a general arrangement plan for each story, and these should be consistent in their graphical appearance. Other examples could be reinforcement drawings. You can hide the hatching on a section and set rebar to show a single lines with a predefined line thickness. These situations are where view templates become very useful. When creating plan views, the view range controls where the plan is cut, and also how far you look down. The view range can be set for each plan. Plan regions can override this view range for certain areas on a plan. Go ahead and open up the model 026 Duplicating Views Part 1. The model opens up in a 3D view. You'll notice in this particular model that we have a service tunnel running underneath our building structure. Let's take a look at this service tunnel in a plan view. In the project browser, go ahead and open up -02 lift pit. You'll notice that the service tunnel doesn't appear in this view, and this is the deepest view we have in our building structure. The reason for this is it's outside of our view range. In the Properties palette, go ahead and edit View Range. In the View Range dialog box, you'll note that we have something called a primary range, which is comprised of a top plane, a cut plane, and a bottom plane. Then we have an additional plane called View Depth. By default, the bottom range and the view depth will be set the same. Some general rules with the primary range is that the top range cannot be lower than the cut plane. You can see here that the cut plane is running 1 foot above our associated level, which in this case is the lift pit. The top plane is currently running at 2 feet above the lift pit plane. If I change this to 6 inches and then click apply, you'll see that we have an error. The top clip plane is set below the cut plane. So the top plane here has to be the same or greater than the cut plane. The same is true for the bottom range. The bottom range cannot be deeper than the view depth. You can see here the bottom range is set to -6 feet. If I set this to -8 feet and then click apply, again I'll get an error. And now you can see the view depth plane is set above the bottom clip plane. Okay, so if I need to see my service tunnel here, what I could do is I could set the bottom range to unlimited and also make sure that the view depth is set to unlimited. If I click apply, you'll now notice that we can see the service tunnel. So what's the difference between the bottom plane and the view depth plane? Here I'm going to change my bottom plane to, again, associated level -02 lift pit. If I now click apply, you'll now see that the view depth is displaying the tunnel slightly different. This time we have a red dotted outline for the tunnel. So let's investigate this in a little bit more detail. Go ahead and select OK to the View Range dialog box. Select the Manage ribbon and then select Additional Settings. Here we're going to select Line Styles. You'll note here that we have a category called Beyond, and you'll notice here we've set the projection pen weight to 1. We're using a red pen and we've got 1/8 of an inch dashed line. If I change this to green and click OK and OK again, you'll now see that our tunnel updates to green. Let's now set up the view range for the ground floor plan. In the project browser, open 00 ground floor. You'll notice on this ground floor plan that in fact we're seeing the top of foundation. Let's again set our view range. In the Properties palette, select Edit View Range. The reason we're seeing the foundations is you'll notice that the bottom plane and also the view depth plane is set below the ground floor. So we'll just go ahead and set both of these to 0 and then click Apply. And of course, I now just see the ground floor. Go ahead and select OK. Next, we create and then apply view templates. Currently, our ground floor plan has a scale set 1/8 of an inch equals 1 foot. You'll also notice here that the visual style is set to wireframe. I'm going to go ahead and select Hidden Line. We also have a span direction symbol showing on the plan. I want to remove this, so I'm going to select the span direction symbol, right mouse click, and we'll hide in view category. So I may want to save this configuration in a view template so I can apply it to one of my other floor plans. To do this, select the view ribbon and select View Templates. Then select Create Template from Current View. We can give this template a name, so I'm going to type in here Floor Plan GA and click OK. We can now review the view template settings. So on the right hand side you can see that we're including things like the view scale, the display model, the detail level and so on. Now I do want to include all of these properties, but if I did want to remove, for example, the scale, I could simply uncheck that. Okay, let's go ahead and select OK to our view templates dialog. Now before I set the view template on the other views, let's just go ahead and open up some of these. So if we open up perhaps the first floor plan, we can see here that the current scale is 1 inch equals 10 foot. If we go to the second floor plan, here we've got 1/2 an inch equals 1 foot. And so on. So we have lots of different configurations, different items displaying and so on. So here I'm going to go ahead now and select all of my floor plans, right mouse click and apply a view template. Here we can select our floor plan GA and go ahead and pick OK. So now we have consistency with all of our floor plans. Okay, let's now switch to the 05 fifth floor plan. When we zoom in to the roof slab, you'll notice here that the roof slab is being cut at an unusual angle. Of course, the roof slab is actually sloping. If I select the slab here, you'll notice in the Properties palette that we have a slope angle of 6 degrees, and hence why it's cutting. Now, of course, I could change the overall view range, but here's where we can actually utilize something called a plan region. On the View ribbon, select Plan Views. Go ahead and select Plan Region. On the Context ribbon, select Rectangle. And we'll sketch a rectangle around our core. You'll notice in the Properties palette that we can edit the view range just for everything inside our boundary. Let's go ahead and select Edit. Now here, I'm just going to change the cut plane to match the top plane. So I've set that to 6 feet. We'll click Apply. And then when we select Finish Edit Mode, you can now see the plan looks a lot better. You'll also note that the plan region is displayed here as a green dotted line. You can select this and use the shape handles to change the position of this plan region. Okay, let's return to our top of foundation plan. On the top of foundation plan, we're going to be required to put down some spot levels and also some spot coordinates to show positions of each of the foundations. This is going to mean that I need to select a scale where I can clearly read all of these annotations. The problem with that, of course, is when we try to get this overall plan onto a sheet, it may be very difficult to fit it onto a standard sheet size. So another option we've got is to duplicate the views as dependents. That will allow us to then go ahead and split the foundation perhaps into an east and a west section. In the project browser, let's select Top of Foundation View, right mouse click, and you'll note here that we can duplicate the views. In this example here, we're going to duplicate as a dependent. So you can now see we have a dependent view. Let's go ahead and rename this, and we'll call this one West. If we zoom out, we'll notice that we can see the crop region. Let's select the crop region, and we can use this now to crop the view. Okay, so the West view is cropped. Let's now duplicate again as a dependent view to create the east side of our foundation plan. So again, we'll duplicate view, duplicate as dependent. We'll rename, and this will now become east. And again here, we can use the crop region and crop the view. Okay, the view is now cropped. If we go back to our top of foundation plan, we can now see the overall plan. And in fact here, we can start to detail it in this view. And then these dependent views are of course dependent on that plan. And these are the views I can then position onto a drawing sheet.